Right. So basically, OCD is like an attempt to have sovereignty, have control over your situation. It's a coping mechanism, but you know, it's trying to create certainty in a situation where you don't feel certain. But I guess to some extent, Greg, it must be successful, right? When people that have these, let's just take the washing hand thing. That's very common. I have to wash my hands 7 times exactly, or for a whole 1 minute or whatever. How does that give someone a sense of control? I mean, it doesn't really work, right? Because it's a disorder. They feel compelled to do it, but then they go on and function. So how does it eventually not serve the person where they're like, I need to get help because this is not okay anymore?
Well, we exchange freedom for safety, right? So a lot of the patterns that we create are kind of like a prison cell that we create for us to live in, where a part of us actually feels safe in there, but another part of us says, yes, you're safe, but you're not free. Right? So we probably reach a point where the safety becomes like the coffin of our comfort zone, where you're safe, you're comfortable, but you're not living. So the ego part of the psyche says, I'm safe here, but the soul says, yes, but you're not free. So that's where there becomes an inner conflict. And that inner conflict is really the time of awakening, where it's like, okay, it's time for me to figure out how to create more freedom for myself. And sometimes freedom comes at the expense of safety, because freedom involves actually stepping into your vulnerability, because living means living in the unknown. A lot of times the, obsessive compulsive patterns, the avoidance of trauma, the control mechanisms are, I feel safe in the known. I feel vulnerable in the unknown. So let me stay in the prison of the known because it's safe here. No one can get me. There's no threats. But I know I'm not living. So that's where we just, we're the prisoner, but we also hold the key. And to me, the key is mindfulness. And mindfulness involves, number one, a non-judgmental awareness. And that's where, for me, the practice of meditation is so important, because the meditation allows you to seek a higher vantage point where all these patterns that are going on, you can be the witness, you can be the observer. Whatever chaos is experiencing within you, you can sit in the eye of the storm where it's perfectly still, no matter what's going on around you. So to me, that in combination with the willingness to feel your feelings and feel your emotions is absolutely essential. So there's so many ways in which we do our best to avoid that experience. And that's where a lot of addictions are created as well. A lot of addictions are the seeking of safety and the avoidance of the vulnerability. Whenever we have an addiction, there's a part of us that feels vulnerable, does not feel safe to experience. So we use the addiction as a way of connecting to something else, as a way of disconnecting from a part of ourself that doesn't feel safe to experience. And that shows up with so many people these days, especially with our modern culture and, with all the technology and devices and everything. There's so many ways that you can numb yourself out and divorce yourself from yourself. There's so many ways that you can connect to something else and disconnect from yourself, whether it's, Instagram or any sort of social media, Netflix, food, alcohol, whatever it is. We have so much more availability to those things. So it's a lot easier to go through life trying to avoid the healing process, because there's so many extra ways that we can really, try and kind of weave and work around those parts of ourselves.